So I want to tell you a little story that is essentially my favorite experiences from my week at TED Summit over the summer. TED Summit was essentially a reunion for all the TEDsters who've made popular videos over the course of the last 10 years. This year was the anniversary of the 10-year anniversary rather of TED posting videos online, and obviously they've gotten huge. And so some people have had hundreds of millions of views, and all of them gathered to give new TED Talks this summer in Banff, Canada. And I just happened to apply for the conference and get accepted, just sort of on a whim. I applied and it turned out well. And I got accepted and I saved up to go, and it turned out to be the most wild, surreal experience. When I got there, I had just left VidCon the week before, where I got a 360 camera, and I had all these ideas bubbling over in my mind about doing interviews with a 360 camera and what sort of collaborations I could do with all the cool people who were at TED. So I asked around the people at TED staff if that would be cool, and they were like, yeah, just go ask people, interview them. And then I ended up talking to some TEDsters who had given TED Talks, and a couple people were like, I say no to about 100 interviews a year, so I probably shouldn't do a interview, even if it is a cool 360 thing with you. And I eventually ran into a couple people who were down. The way I met Sarah Kay, who I ended up making a 360 video with, is the very first day. We were both outside our hotels waiting for the bus to the conference center, and we were all striking up conversations with our group, who were all waiting for the bus. There were about 6 of us. And across the group, someone that I kind of recognized, and I wasn't really sure who she might be, was just, standing there talking to people. And so at some point, we ended up talking to each other, and I was like, "You're Sarah Kay, aren't you?" And she was like, "Yeah, that's me. I try to go to TED events because, they were so good to me and they started my career, and so I try to just show up at anything they host. So I'm just here to have fun. I'm not presenting this time around, but so we got to talk on the bus and sort of made friends the first day there at TED, and it was just a really kind of hit it off, introduced each other to people and that sort of thing. And it was a really good time. And then either that night or the next day, there was a karaoke night or a poetry slam sort of talent show, where the people who weren't presenting at TED but had talents that were worth presenting would just show up and perform a little small town talent show at one of the local bars in Banff after the conference was over for that day. So everyone got to sort of show off their talents and have a good evening, and we all hung out and had a great time. And then we all walked back to our hotels, and because, again, Sarah and I's hotel were right next to each other, we ended up walking home together. And so I told her about this 360 camera that I was super excited about, and she was like, "That sounds awesome. What we should do is we should go into a forest, and I'll walk up to the camera and whisper a poem to it. And then I'll wander off, and it'll just be like you're sitting in this forest, and I wandered up to you and whispered a poem to you." And I was like, "That sounds awesome. We should do that. You're right. But how can we, we're at a conference all week, how are we going to find a forest and go make a video there when we're trying to be at a conference?" As it turns out, there was a hike field trip as one of the conference events, and I wasn't signed up for it, but she and my other friend Ryan were already. And so I just managed to ask if I could sign up last minute and grabbed an extra lunch bag that they had, and I managed to get on the bus to go on this little hiking tour. And Ryan helped us film and pick locations, and there's an entire awesome behind-the-scenes video here on the 1,000 Videos project about what that experience was like. But we got to do that. We got to go out into the forest, and we made some videos in different locations, and some of them had too many bugs, and some of them the light was wrong. But eventually we got a 360 video that was awesome, and I went through all sorts of rigmarole to get it stitched and uploaded that week while in Canada with no Wi-Fi. And it worked out just in time that I was able to present it with a VR headset at the final lunch that we were all having out on the grass after the conference was over. And Sarah loved it, and she showed it to all her friends at TED, and eventually people ended up being like, "You should see this," and passing it to each other. And eventually Chris Anderson, the guy who curates TED, someone walked up to him with the VR headset and was like, "You should really watch this." And I was within earshot of this and wandered over and took some silly selfies with him while he was in the VR headset, and got to talk to him afterward about what he thought about it. And he talked to Sarah as well, and just her performance was super, super good, and he was really impressed by how personal it felt. and how good the video came out. And I've been waiting all year for the right time to post this with Sarah, and hopefully sometime early next year we'll have that opportunity. We haven't posted it yet, but soon it will be public for people to see, and I'm so excited about it. It is a really, really beautiful experience, and it's so cool that with VR cameras you can create experiences. And to have the opportunity to do that with people who I admire and look up to, and who have had such a positive impact on my life, like Chris Anderson and Sarah Kay, it was really, really, really amazing. So definitely one of the highlights of my year, and one of the best moments of my life so far. It was just a total honor, and I'm really happy to have gotten to make a cool thing with cool people. So that's the story. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm practicing storytelling because I'm not that great at it, and I hope you liked it. I will see you in the next video. Thanks for listening.